Hi everybody.
Is my
Today
practice
we are going to
video.
be
We'll
going
see how
through
it goes.
Chapter 1 in Microsoft Word, the Guide at Project 1-2. Now I am starting in my SimNet account and I can see all of these tiles. I am going to scroll down to the Word section. So I'm going to click on Word Chapter 1 and I can see in Word Chapter 1 I have 2 projects and 1 SimPath. I am going to be doing the Guided Project 1-2, which is this first little tile. When I open it up, on the left hand side are everything that you can download for this project. So here are some best practices. We don't need that. Here is our start file. So the file that we need to start with is here. I am going to click on this, and when I download it, it goes to the bottom of my screen. I am going to click on it to open it up, and I can see that a Microsoft Word file opens up. There's this yellow bar here, and I'm going to click the button Enable Editing, or else I can't do anything to edit it. Here's the file that I need. Now before I go any farther, I like to be organized with my files so I can find them and upload them right away. I am going to do a file, so I clicked on this blue file, and I am going to choose Save As. Now when I'm in Save As, this middle column, I'm going to hit Browse, and this is going to open up all of my folders. Now I save all of my files to my documents, so I'm going to click on Documents, and I am going to create a folder called SS, which stands for Software Savvy. If you already have this folder, you don't have to do this step, so I'm going to click on the New Folder button and create a new folder called SS. I am going to try to stay organized and save all of my files to this SS folder. If you want to be even more organized, you can make a folder called Word, and you can save all of your Word files here. So I'm just going to save it in SS. I'm going to leave the document name as is, and I'm going to hit Save. And it's not going to let me save, so I'm going to try it again, and hopefully it will let you save. If not, my backup is always downloads. And if you can save it there, it's just harder to find it. All right, I'm going to go back to SimNet, which is on Google. And in SimNet, I can see under my start file, I have my instructions file. Now I have paper copies of all of the instructions, but if you want to look at the instructions on your screen, we are working with Windows. So click on this Office for Windows. Again, a file downloads, and you're going to click on this to open it up, and here are all of the steps. Now we're going to start with step 1, and it says to open the file. We did that in SimNet. Step 2 says save the file, so we're actually going to start here with step 3. Step 3 has me going to this Microsoft Word file, and it tells me that I'm going to change some line spacing and paragraph spacing. So step 3A says press Control A. Control A is the shortcut for selecting everything on your screen. Step 3B then says, click the paragraph launcher. The paragraph launcher is in our home tab. Here's our home tab in the paragraph section. Now at the bottom of the paragraph section, there's this little diagonal pointed arrow in a box. This is your launcher. It just opens up more options for this paragraph section. Once I have the launcher opened up, it says in the line spacing area, which is right here, it now says single. It wants me to change it to multiple. So I'm going to change it to multiple. And it tells me I want to change the multiple to 1.2. So under the at, type in 1.2. Now staying here, I've got spacing before every enter and after every line. It tells me to go into the after and change the 0 to a 12 point. And then once you're done with that, click OK, and you can see now everything is super spaced out. Now I had this little funky button turned on, and that's actually step 4. So don't worry if you didn't have those marks on your screen. Step 4 tells me to turn on my Show Hide button. Show Hide is in my home tab, my paragraph section, and I say it looks like a backwards P. If I turn this on, it shows me all of my invisible elements on my screen. Every time I press enter, it shows up as a backwards P. Every time there's a space, it shows up as a little dot. So all of these invisible characters you start to be able to see. Well, it tells me in step 4, I want to go underneath each paragraph and delete the blank line. So I'm going to go to this blank line underneath the first line, and I'm going to hit my delete key. And I'm going to do that to every extra line underneath each of these paragraphs until there are no big gaps in the document anymore. So again, just click on the line and then delete. All right. Once you are done with that and you no longer have the blank line, step 5 says to change the font and size. 5A says press Control A again. Control A selects everything. It says change our font to Cambria. Here's our font in our Home tab in our font section. Right now our font is Calibri. All of our fonts are in alphabetical order, so I'm going to scroll down to the C's and I'm going to change my font to Cambria. Now step 6, it says to change the paragraph spacing. So 6A says select just the first, select just the first line of text. So I am going to go into this online learning information, and you can click and drag to select it. I'm going to triple click to select it. Step B says go to your layout tab. Here is your layout tab right here. I'm going to click on it, and it tells me to change the before spacing to 36. Now you remember when we opened up that paragraph launcher, we had that before and after. This is just another way to change this. So I'm going to change my before to 36. You guys are going to see on the top of this line, so before this line there's a big gap. I'm going to change the after then to 18. And you just, 18, not 8. You are just going to see more of a space after that line. Step D says go back to your Home tab and hit your center button, which is right here in your paragraph group. Step E says click the font launcher. So again, in our Home tab, we're in our font group. I'm going to go to this diagonal font launcher, and I am going to change the font to bold. So in my font tab, bold is in font style. I am going to change the size to 24. Step G says go to the effects area and click the little effect that is small caps, and then pull down font color. It wants you to change it to blue gray text 2. Now each of these colors has a name. I moused over the fourth one over, and it's got a little pop-up that says blue gray text 2. So I'm going to click on this one. Now once I'm done in this font tab, it tells me to go over to this advanced tab. So I'm going to click on this advanced tab, and I'm going to go to the spacing, and right now it says normal, and I'm going to change it to expanded. And then in the by tab, I'm going to change the number to 1.2. Now once I'm done with all of those changes, I click OK. Now you guys saw we turned bold on, we changed the size of our font and so on. You know that you can do that in other areas of your screen. That was just an option for you to do all of that. Step 7, it says move the paragraphs in the document. So 7A says select the last paragraph in the document. So I'm going to scroll down. Again, you can click and drag to select this, but if you want to, one of the shortcuts is to triple click. Triple click, let me try it again. And it selects everything from SPCCD all the way through this little enter paragraph sign. Step B says click the cut button. So in your Home tab, in the clipboard group, it says cut. There's little scissors here. Now the shortcut for cut is Control X. So either one that you use, you're going to end up cutting it. So I'm going to press Control X, and I can see the paragraph is now gone. Step C says put your insertion point before the second line of the document, which is the word definition. So I'm going to put my cursor right in before definition, and I am going to then paste. Now there is a paste button right here if you want to paste, but the shortcut for paste is Control V. So that's what I'm going to use. So I can see now that this first paragraph is, or the last paragraph, I now moved to the first paragraph. Step E says click at the beginning of the paste it paragraph. So the S right in front of the S. And I want you guys to type, where are we now with online learning? So where are we now with online, with a capital O, learning, with a capital L, and then a space, and then an enter afterwards. Step 7F says select the paragraph that begins hybrid courses. So I'm going to scroll and I can see hybrid courses is here. I'm going to triple click in this paragraph. For some reason I just can't get it on the first time. To select the whole paragraph, and then it says move the paragraph using the drag and drop. So it moves before the paragraph that starts with television and teleweb. So I'm going to be clicked anywhere in this gray area. I'm going to click and hold my mouse down. So I'm still holding my mouse down. As soon as I do that, I see this little triangle kind of follows my cursor, and I get this like black line. I am going to move the black line in front of the T for television, and I'm going to release my mouse button. It's just a shorter way to copy and paste, to drag and drop. I'm on step 8. Step 8 says format the section headings. So step 8A says select the first section headings. Where are we now with online learning? So I'm going to go here, which I didn't spell it very well, and I'm going to select just this line. Step B says click the font launcher. So home tab, here's my font group, here's the launcher. Once I click the launcher, it says in my font tab to change the font size to 12, to change the color to blue-gray text 2, which is right here, to change the underline style to double, so this is the 2 lines right here, to change the underline color to blue-gray text 2, which is the same color as the font. In the effects area, we're going to hit the all caps, and then we're going to click OK. So this kind of sets it apart. It looks a little bit different than the rest of your paragraphs. Step 8I says click the text effects and typography button. This is in your home tab, your font group. It looks like the glowing A. So it's like a white A with a blue glow around it. Pull the little arrow down next to it, and we are going to choose a shadow. So I'm going to move down to shadow, and then I am going to choose the offset bottom right, which I believe is the first one. Mine says offset diagonal bottom right. They're the same thing. So I'm in the outer group here, and I'm going to click it. So now it's got like a glow around it. Step number 8K says with this heading still selected, I want to click on the Format Painter button. Now the Format Painter button is in your Home tab in your clipboard group. I am going to click on this button. What this does is this actually takes a picture of the format that you used, and it will apply it to whatever you select. So rather than going through all of those changes all at once, I am going to, with Format Painter on, I am going to click and drag over definition of online learning modalities. And you can see it now matches it. Step 9 says we're going to format all of these section headings. So it says select our first paragraph heading, which is online course, and then the colon. Let's format this right now. So I'm going to open up my font launcher, and I'm going to change it to bold. So under font style, bold. The color is going to be blue-gray text 2. I am going to choose small caps and then click OK. So now you can see it kind of stands it apart again. Now I'm going to do almost the same thing with the Format Painter, except instead of just clicking on it, I am going to double click on Format Painter. This makes Format Painter stay on until you tell it to stop. So by double clicking on it, the Format Painter stays down. You can see that it's gray on my screen. And I'm going to scroll down. I am going to click and drag Hybrid Courses, semicolon. It changes. Now my Format Painter didn't turn off. It's still on. So I'm going to now then click and drag over Television and Teleweb Courses, colon. And then Web Enhanced Courses is my last one. So I copied this format to all of them with just pretty much a single click. I'm done with my Format Painter, so I'm going to click on it to turn it off. And now it turns light gray. Step number 11, it says correct my spelling and grammar. So it tells me to right click on my first misspelled word, which is management. If I scroll here, management is in the first paragraph. It's got a red underline under it. I'm going to right click on it, and if I right click on it, the top word is actually going to be what it's going to suggest for me in spell check, management the correct way. It tells me to repeat this process for potion. So if I keep scrolling down, I've got some potion. Potion isn't spelled wrong. It's got a blue underline, so it knows potion isn't supposed to be there. I right click on it, it should be portion. So I'm going to click on portion. Step C says click ignore all if there are any other words or grammar things misspelled. So I'm going to look over here and I've got fall and spring with blue underlines. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose ignore once. Gets rid of it because it should be spelled how it is on screen. Ignore once. Step 12, it says select the sentence in parentheses at the end of the document, including the parentheses. So at the end of the document, I am going to start from the opening parentheses. Whoop, didn't do that right. And I'm going to go all the way from note to tools, parentheses, not the period. So don't select that period. And I'm going to turn on my italics. Now the italics button is right here, but the shortcut for italics is Control I. So if I press Control I, it put it in italics format. Step 13, it says add document properties to the properties. Now document properties are kind of embedded in the file name, so people who are searching on the internet or something like that can find who the author of this document is, can find when it was made, and so on. So it's kind of not something you see on the screen, it's more what it gets saved with a file. To do document properties, we go to our File tab, and way over here on the right, I see this Properties right here. I'm going to pull Properties down and I'm going to choose Advanced Properties, and this pop-up pops up. Well, it tells me in step 13C, I want to type in a title of Online Learning, and the first letter of each word is capitalized, Information. I'm going to move down to Subject, Online Learning, and again, first letter of each word is capitalized. And then the author is Tanisha Morris. So right now it's got my name in for the author. Tanisha actually wrote this, so I want to give her credit. And then I'm going to click the OK. And then I'm going to click the back button. Now you don't see any of those changes made on your document. They're kind of embedded with how the file is saved. Now we've already saved this document once. I tried to save it to my SS folder. So I'm right now just going to save it again. I can either hit this little save button here, or I can press Control S, and now it's saved. And now it tells me in step 15 I want to upload this. So I'm going to go over to SIMnet, And in SimNet, it's going to give me a button on the right side that says upload my file. Now this is where if you put your stuff in a folder that you remember, it's easy to find. If you recall, I couldn't save it for some reason to my folder, so I had to put it in downloads. So now I kind of have to search through all of my downloads until I find the file. And if you saved multiple files, look at the date. Right now it's today's date, and I saved mine at about 11 o'clock this morning. So this is the one. I'm going to click open. Now it asks you, are you sure you want to submit this? Yes, submit it. This is grading my file right now, and I'm going to show you how it's going to look once the grading is done. Now I got 100%, so out of the 30 things that it was looking for, I got all of them right. If you happen to misspell something or skip something, you can look over here. Red is bad, so if you miss something, you can kind of mouse over it, and if it's something red on your screen, you can see what it is. So if you did something wrong, you have the option to now go back and fix it. If you are going to choose to fix it, you have to fix it on the Microsoft Word file. You have to save it again, and you have to re-upload it. Every project I allow you to submit twice, and I will always take the higher score of the 2 submissions. So hopefully this gets you automatically done with Guided Project 1-2. If you have any questions, please make sure that you are seeing me.